Hi, gratitude seekers, and welcome to a new episode of the Gratitude Podcast. Today, I want you to meet Darya Haitoglou. She is a psychologist and relationship coach. With more than 10 years of coaching and talent management, Darya has a passion to help people fulfill their potential and be the best they can. She's a certified trainer in NLP, coaching, and strategic interventions for both personal and business growth. But I will let her tell you more about herself. Darya?
Oh, hello, Georgian. Thank you very much. Such a nice introduction. And actually, that's exactly what I wanted to say. So you just shared, I come from Russia, from Siberia. I spent most of my life traveling the world and live in different places. Currently, I'm based in the UK. That's where I have my practice. And before that, I lived in Switzerland, in Geneva. And before that, I lived in London, and before that, I lived in St. Petersburg. So quite a lot of places, multinational family. My husband is Greek. Children were born in Switzerland, and we speak different languages. It's quite a lot of things going on in our family. The family spread across the globe. So very excited to speak to you and to the larger audience about this very important topic. Yes, so that's exactly what I do. I'm a psychologist and a relationship coach, and I apply systemic relationship coaching, going deep rather than breadth.
Yeah, wonderful. And I'm sure you have your own experience with with this mixed family. I'm sure that it's not really easy to manage all the different views on the world and the different religious beliefs that we are we grow with. How do you do it in your relationship?
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a lot of application, what I do professionally, also personally, and it's not always easy. So it takes practice to make it perfect. And we are always developing ourselves and having relationship challenges and overcoming those. So it's wonderful to talk about them because I know them personally. It's not something that I've learned. I've gone through them, and I had 2 marriages and I had lots of different relationships, ups and downs, failures and successes. Some of them were happy, some were not. And this is something that I'm very passionate about at the moment. I've written a book called Enriching Relationships that talks about different secrets, I call them strategies, on how to really enrich relationships. And gratitude is part of it. Actually, it's part of a topic called nourishment, which is a second letter in the word enrich, N for nourishment versus depletion. So gratitude is a big part of what I teach, what I train, and the coaching that's based on systemic. Virginia Satir approach, who's the mother of family therapy. It's a combination of therapy and coaching together to help people go through personal and professional challenges. But yes, I do apply this a lot in relationship with my children, with my partner, with my parents who are very far, and they're coming from a different culture, and they're different personality-wise. So we always have these challenges, and how do we operate in a world where people are not like us? Some of them are like us, but most of people are not like us. And how do we make these relationships work? This is a cornerstone. This is something that I'm very interested about, and I've done a lot of research. I've got quite a few degrees, but I love researching people and how they relate and how they make these social connections effective, or they're not making them, functional versus dysfunctional. So there's a lot of depth in this topic, and I feel, and also not just me. I mean, my feeling is very important, of course, but there's a lot of research saying that happiness and success depend on the quality of our relationships.
Sure, yeah.
There's a grand Harvard study that's been done for 75 years. They researched what makes people happy. And the answer is enriched relationships. So I find it
Totally.
very important as a topic to help people with.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I was thinking about the fact that I myself and I know other people that have relationship challenges. And I was thinking about, okay, we are usually from the same background, we have the same beliefs, the same traditions, and we still have challenges. I was thinking about your situation. It can be so much complicated. And getting to manage that, I think, gets you a lot of experience to help others also.
Yeah, as they say, it's 10,000 hours to make one a master. So it's only through practicing, through learning, through growing, challenging yourself, and failing as well as great experience to fail and to have some conflicts and problems, as we call them, that are our best teachers, to be honest. If everything was very simple and people would never argue, would never experience tension, they would not grow. They would not go through a process of change. And change
Exactly.
is important for us. I believe partly we are in this life and on this planet to change and to learn, to grow, and to become more flexible and sort out our shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, my French.
And yeah, relationships really help us do that, and they put us in situations where we actually need to grow. There's no other way. We can't run away from some relationships, and they by doing this, they help us grow even more.
Absolutely. We attract what we have inside us. So we naturally bring more of our challenges that we have inside us. And there's a law of attraction that works. I'm sure people know about it. And we cannot not communicate. So what we have inside us will always communicate with the external world, attracting, based on quantum physics, similar energy. So that's great. We live in the best situation, in the best environment that's beneficial for us.
Exactly. So, getting back to gratitude, do you have some words of wisdom that you like, some quote that you like on gratitude?
Um, the quote that I like on gratitude. Well, my favorite quote is, "A moment of gratitude makes a difference in your attitude."
Oh,
I don't know
wonderful.
who said that, but you know, we talk a lot about attitude, especially in business. When people, you know, I used to hire people. I was responsible for hiring in big multinational organization. And the most important thing was attitude, not the skill set, not the sort of talent, as we call them, right? But it's the attitude of that person. And what makes a good attitude is the feeling of positive energy. Because gratitude for me is a feeling of joy. It's like that positive quality of energy. And we know, you know, the atom consists of electron and proton. Proton is plus, electron is minus. So it's plus or minus type of energy. We either grow or we deflect and we kind of diminish. So it's either one direction or the other. The energy works that way. It's either expands or it contracts. So gratitude is part of that triggering system to expand, because when we feel grateful, we feel first great, full of great, yeah, grateful.
Wow, yeah.
So we feel great because positive energy like joy and gratitude, they make us feel great because of serotonin, because of oxytocin, because of dopamine. There's three hormones that help us feel amazing inside. These are like cocktail hormones, but of course there are also endorphins. So gratitude is a first little step towards unlocking that potential of going upward spiral. And the psychology of positive psychology, and what I teach, the psychology of human enrichment, is based on this principle. The gratitude is a cornerstone for growing and expanding, so we feel better,
Yeah,
and we
exactly.
have our amazing attitude afterwards.
Yeah, and that like you said, even in the workplace, when you want to get hired, even people relate to you in a different way when you are grateful and when you are you have this attitude.
Mm. People feel it. I mean, we have mirror neurons, that's already proven. So people feel, they have gut feeling, they have intuition. And we have whatever we have inside, we cannot hide. Even if we choose different words, we may consciously try to protect our inner world, but we all feel each other unconsciously. So it's impossible not to communicate. Gratitude helps us become more open and joyful, so people get more attracted. People generally more, or people who are more joyful and grateful, they will be attracted, and that will expand the energy even more, the positive energy. That the stronger the energy, the source of energy, the more reflection, the more the ripple effect is on other people. So actually by doing that, and what you're doing is fantastic, because you're connecting and expanding that gratitude container, that bucket of gratitude, to make it into like gratitude of sea, of ocean. So more people get affected, and that 100,000 maybe will be 1 million, will be 1
I sure
billion.
hope so. Yeah.
And by connecting the positive to positive, we grow in our energy and expand in our better attitude, which brings more positive results to the world.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. And I love the way you combine psychology, science, and spirituality. It's wonderful. I really didn't see this perspective before, and I think it's very beautifully said.
Oh, wonderful. That's a compliment to me, because I'm sure you've researched a lot on this topic and had a lot of
Yeah.
podcasts before.
Yeah, exactly. It's really unique, and the combination is wonderful.
Thank
Um,
you.
and I appreciate you for that, for what you bring, for the uniqueness that you bring with your experience.
Yeah, I believe as we have 7 billion people, everyone has a unique footprint, the blueprint, the way we think, because of the complicated background that we all bring with each of us. So that's the unique part. But we're also all connected. We have similar patterns, similar hormones, similar reactions. So it's great that we're connecting on a level of similarities, and we're growing on a level of differences. And that's how we make a difference in the world.
Wonderful, wonderful. I love how you see things. But what I'm really curious about, I know that you're a grateful person. I've been following you for a while, and I love what you write, what you share, and I know that you're a grateful person. But what do you do when it's hard to be grateful?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when we get caught in a negative spiral, that has some consequences. It's very hard to break the pattern and move straight away into the positive energy. It's like saying, when you're sad, be joyful. So how do you do that, right? And how do you become more grateful when it's hard, when a person might feel stuck or annoyed or not in their best element, let's say. So the best thing is to change the pattern by changing physiology. Physiology changes neurology. Yeah, to make the neurology, the hormonal and neural connections change, we need to change the way we are physically. Okay, so negative stances, I call them, in systemic approach. We call them stances. They are normally blaming. Yeah, they are blaming. This very, very strong energy, generally led by testosterone. Can be also dopamine, but sometimes with adrenaline, and it may have even noradrenaline. So it's a very interesting stance. We have also placating. Oh, I'm a victim. Please forgive me. It's not my fault. It could be withdrawing. I'm not talking to you. This is not to talk about very important topic. I'm hiding my emotions. And then from these type of stances, and there's another one that's called distractive, like, oh, I'm not going to engage with that, and I'm avoiding the difficult bit. These are the stances that we need to dance into congruent stances. Congruent stance is always centered when we face reality, and that's the stance where it opens up to gratitude. So the $1 million question is, how do we do this transition?
Yeah.
That is what I teach during the stance dance and the interventions. We call them the systemic relationship interventions for people. But just something that everyone can apply in their life, and something that, you don't need to go on a retreat or a workshop, but a little thing, little but mighty thing that you can make a difference with, which I'm happy to share with you. It's one of the most effective ways to change your physiology. So for example, when a person is in a blaming mood and they are blaming the situation or another person normally for how they feel, they do not own, they do not take responsibility for their feelings, and they kind of leaning forward. So the natural thing that person can do is relax, put the shoulders back, open the neck, look up, and when they're looking up with their head, they smile and they open their arms. You cannot see it, but they open their arms and they stretch and they start changing physiology. Just by doing that, the person cannot be sad physically, because we are wired with a certain physiology to feel certain feelings.
Wow.
Okay, so when we do that little thing, we can change in milliseconds.
That's wonderful.
We get stuck a lot of the time in the same physiology, and we replay the same story, and we've been reliving that story. We know it very well. Some people, it's a story of blaming. To some people, it's a story of withdrawal. So they go away and they stop talking, which is closing up, and they become sick, physically sick, ill. They make themselves ill when they close up, because they cannot just hold all that negative energy, and then they go into the blame or the placating. Yeah? So these are the stances that we need to dance through to more congruent stances. That's what the beauty of that approach is, that the systemic relationship approach. But this little nugget I wanted to share, so everyone can apply it in their life, and if they want to know more, I can always share more. So happy to be that provider of knowledge and experience, because it's not just knowledge and information. We may know things, but if we don't apply them, gratitude does not flow. So we need to experience that physically. That's why I'm talking about the embodied experience.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and the fact that we have the power to change this. It's not usually when we blame people or we do things like this, we think that the other person needs to do something in order for us to feel better. And that's why sometimes we feel like, okay, how can I be grateful? He did this to me, or things like that.
Yeah, that's a trap.
Yeah.
That's an illusion. Yeah, and that's exactly part of the reason why we feel resentful and not grateful. Yeah,
because it's hard to be resentful and grateful at the same time.
It's not possible. Yeah, we cannot do both, because we choose, it's like a pathway. Or neurologically, we either choose the negative energy or we choose the positive energy. Together, they neutralize. It's not possible to have.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, for instance, when I started out, I was thinking about, okay, I should find a problem in this world that I want to find a solution to and give it to the world and serve it. But focusing, for instance, I don't know, on depression or on something like that, makes you focus on the fact that people are depressed or things like that. But when you talk about gratitude, even though you don't talk directly about the problem, you get people to focus on gratitude and on the fact that there are reasons to be grateful, even if the situations they are in might make them feel depressed or angry or something like this.
Where the focus goes, energy flows. So
Yeah.
what we focus on expands. And most people focus on the negatives. It's our primary survival technique. It's called the Zeigarnik effect. It's an effect that is, we're 7 times more prone to think and elicit, to pick up negative facts around us in order to survive. When we were in the forest line away from a lion, running away from some dangers, we were thinking, what if this could happen? What if that could happen? So that allowed us to survive. Not anymore. That is not useful. So, but we still repeat that pattern of negative predisposition. So in order for us to change into the positive, it's much harder. And that's why the majority of population think negatively.
Yeah. And yeah, they shouldn't feel ashamed of doing this, because it's natural somehow. And I feel it from my own experience in the relationship. I sometimes choose to remain angry because I feel protected. If I know that if I feel, I think on some level, if I feel angry and I keep the other person further away, that's somehow protecting me.
Well,
And
that's what the ego says. Actually,
yeah.
if you think about the left and the right hemisphere of the brain, so the left part would always minimize expenditure. So it tries to minimize the efforts. And by blaming someone, it's much easier because we don't need to change. Change is much more difficult. And sometimes people are preferred to die rather than to change. So by blaming someone, we are eliminating that route of change. We kind of say, oh, it's not my fault, it's someone else's fault. And by taking responsibility and saying, yes, it's actually me who's hurting, who's suffering. It's me who's in pain. I need to help myself first. I need to change. You're triggering something inside me that's so hurting. And by healing that part, I can be a better person. I can be more grateful and more there for you. And that is one of the keys to unlock a greater relationship.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like we said before, if we focus on the things that make us feel like angry and resentful, it's so hard to see the positive things, the things that we actually appreciate at the other person, and this actually ruins the relationship in
Yep,
time. Yeah, so
that's absolutely true.
exactly. So what I wanted to ask you also is if you have a meaningful experience that made you into a more grateful person. Um, were you always grateful, or did something happen and you got to choose to be more grateful more often?
Mm. Well, lots of interesting experiences, and I don't remember the first one. Maybe it's also something I've learned from my family. My dad is very grateful, and that's how I grew up. But what helps me be grateful these days is to get back to reality, like travel to the places where uh, it's absolutely different system of coordinates. So recently, for example, I went to Nepal for 3 weeks, and I went to Tibet, and I saw how people live there, just to feel grateful for who I am, for what I have, for what education I've had, just to compare, just to get to the ground, to the real life. Because sometimes we live in and been very fortunate to live in circumstances, and we have won the genetic lottery, as I call it, being born in a place we're born in Europe or in a developed country. But the majority of population on this planet, they live below the poverty level, and they have very little to survive on. They actually don't have much at all and they're still happy in a way. But of course, I don't encourage people to go backwards in their development, but it just helps me check in with myself and think that there's nothing else to be worrying about. Just be, and the gratefulness is a wonderful way to make a next step towards the fearful paths. And what helps me is really traveling and seeing the world in different places.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that contrast helps a lot. Like we feel most grateful after we're sick. For instance, when we're sick, it's like, oh my God, I can't do this, I can't do that. And after that, we're so grateful. Oh, I'm healthy. Okay, it doesn't last for much usually, but we still are in those moments. Or when we see really poor people, we feel blessed that we have the abundance that we have in our lives. And this is a really powerful thing to see the contrast and to feel the gratefulness about the things that you already have and you already enjoy and you might take for granted actually.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, and this is also interesting for me. A friend of mine went to India, and even though Romania isn't seen as the most rich country, at least it's not really that poor, but it's not also the richest place. But when he came back from India, he was like so grateful for the level at which we are, even if it's not the highest one. It was like, oh my God, we are so lucky.
It's all relative. Everything is relative.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
changing the system of coordinates in our head, the mindset, helps us recalibrate who we are.
Yeah, exactly. And these contrasting experiences that we have helps us see the things that we can already be grateful about. And this I think is a really powerful tool that we can use.
Yeah.
Like helping people that are sick, for instance, can make us more grateful about the fact that we are healthy and
Yes. Yeah.
like this. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So getting back to our track, do you have some kind of I don't know, words that you would say to your younger self about gratitude? If you could go back in time, like what would you say to Darya that was I don't know, 20 years old or even younger?
Mm. Well, I would say, imagine if that was the most important thing in your life that your life would depend on, and make it the priority.
Wonderful. Straight to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I was thinking when I thought about this question, I was thinking about myself also. If I knew how to be grateful earlier on, I think I would have enjoyed life even more, because I don't know how it was for other people, but for me it was like always having another goal that I wanted to reach. Always thinking, okay, I want to be to get to high school and do this and that. I want to get to college and do this and that. And it was always something that's in the future, and another level that I need to reach in order to be happy or to be good enough somehow. And yeah, gratitude has helped me see that I have so many things that I can already be happy with, and that I'm already good enough with all the things that I have and I did. And yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it's okay to be ambitious. Sometimes it's okay to achieve, reach out for something out there. But it's all about balance, I find. It's a very delicate act of balancing. And when, people always feel grateful and always feel positive, that's fantastic. Maybe there's sometimes it's okay to feel annoyed or feel ambitious, because that pushes us outside of our comfort zone. And then once we reach that point, it's okay to celebrate. It's okay to be happy with what we've done. And then again, going and working on the next thing. Because if only we were grateful, and that was the only status quo, again, that would be at some point saturated so much as a feeling, then we would be not grateful about being grateful.
Exactly. And
So
I
it's
don't,
all with the moderation.
yeah, and actually, I don't think it's possible to be grateful all the time. We are human beings. We have ups and downs, highs and lows. It's not every day that we can feel great about everything in our life. It's some people seem to be able to do that, and that's really great for them. But
Yeah.
in my experience, with all the people that I've talked also on this podcast, we have challenges. We have times when we are not feeling that great about ourselves, about life, and it's about having habits that help us get through those moments.
Yes,
And
yes. I always call it a 5-to-1 ratio habit. So it's important to keep a balance, but the balance needs to be on scale, should be the balance on the positive side, because our kind of emotional bank account, if it's neutral, then it's very hard to go into the withdrawals to the negative part. So we need to always give and nourish ourselves so we feel positive. And that's why I call it 5-to-1, so 5 positive interactions or thoughts to every negative thought. Otherwise, we tend to go into that Zeigarnik effect and think negatively.
yeah, and it's like this in a relationship also, isn't it? um, 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative one, right?
Absolutely, that saves relationships, that bring them from ashes. This is a wonderful and very hard to follow, actually,
I was
habit.
thinking about that, yeah.
Those who manage to do that, they piece together their relationships.
I totally agree, because appreciating the other person is, I think, I don't know, maybe you have some more scientific view on this, but I think that one of the most the deepest yearnings that we have is to be appreciated.
Yes, to be seen, to be heard, to be touched, to be accepted, to belong, to be loved, to be cared for. These are, yes, appreciated and respected, loved. Yes, these are the deepest yearnings that we have. And if we don't satisfy them, then we go into the hiding mode of the behavior escapism. So we hide behind those masks where we use those under stress to protect ourselves, protect our delicate soul.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what I was also wanted to ask you about is, do you have some kind of a habit, some practice that you do consistently to help you be more grateful?
Yeah, 5-to-1. That's
All
number
right.
one.
Yeah.
The open up exercise in the morning. And then I have also the gratitude journal and the 3 things that I feel grateful in the morning about the previous day. That's how I start the day.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. And I'm doing this also, and I feel it's really useful when you have lots of things going on. You feel so tired at the end of the day. You sometimes forget that, all the beautiful things that actually happened that day. It's like, and you feel so much better, and the sleep is much better when you think about these things. I also do this before bed. That's why I'm saying, uh,
Yeah.
and it's been my experience that the sleep is much better when, instead of counting ships, I count my blessings.
Yes, yes, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it puts you in another state, and that's really beautiful. And
Mhm.
yeah, even at that point, it's, I don't know if you know something scientifically about this, the state you are in before sleeping. I know that in relationship this is also important, to not to go to bed being mad on the other person.
Mm. Well, we bring a state. We the last few minutes of our conscious state into the unconscious realm when we fall asleep. So that's
Mhm.
why preparation for the sleep affects the quality of sleep, and it affects the quality of rejuvenation, um, all the processes of elimination of toxins, how we feel afterwards, the following morning, of course. And there's a rule that we should never keep our negative stuff overnight, because it is kind of like putting, toxins on additional layer of toxins on our unconscious to process it. So rather we can do it consciously to resolve things before going to bed and prepare ourselves for a better state. And always, especially with children are particularly, especially when they feel scared or they feel unloved, unseen, uncared for, and not understood. They will have nightmares, and they will have trouble fall asleep or waking up at night. And parents sometimes they wonder, it must be food, or it must be like the routine. But it may be as simple as that during the evening routine, when they're about to go to sleep, parents choose the stories that they tell them. So not giving them scary books or this crazy something very active, violent, that we see these days, especially for boys. I mean, I'm a mother of two boys, so I know a lot about
Mhm.
superheroes and ninjagos and a lot of things that I didn't even know when I was growing up. But it's important to dose, it's important to protect this time, and we're not allowing any overactive games, for example, because that also stimulates too much the brain, especially the young active brain. So calming down and preparing ourselves for this welcoming experience of unconscious realm is an important piece. Some people pray, some people meditate. We meditate with kids, we sing very subtle songs, I tell them stories, I show them sometimes very calm theater with puppets to tell them a story that it's an induction into the sleep. For example, if they're scared of the dark room, or if something troubled them during the day, I make it into the fairy tale therapy type of story to help them prepare. And that's what adults can do. Adults can also prepare themselves, and preparation part is crucial also for the following day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that somehow on some level we are also like children, and we need this also, even though we grew up, and we still have an inner child that needs this positive reinforcement, even though we're not at that
Yes.
age anymore. Yeah. So do you want to
Mm-hmm.
mention a few people in your life that you're grateful to?
Oh, I grateful to so many people, and I wrote many letters to people who influenced my life when I was growing. My teachers, my sports, my athlete teachers, coaches, and these days I feel grateful to every person I meet, and that's my mantra, because I believe they're all teachers that come to my life, especially people with challenges and something that triggers me. That those people are the best people, the most grateful I feel for them. And of course the family. Yeah, these are
Mhm.
the toughest cookies.
Yeah, sure. And it's great that you can feel grateful for even for these experiences, and yeah, that takes a bit of toughness to be able to do this. Um, I was wondering, do you have a book recommendation for us and for the audience?
um Actually, today I did a blog on my top 10 books to read.
Yeah, I know.
So one that always brings back that system of coordinate is actually, I wonder if it's called The Mindfulness Survival Kit by Thich Nhat Hanh. I don't know whether you know, this is a great little and mighty book. And the guy is a Buddhist monk. He's Vietnamese, but he was a laureate of the Nobel Prize.
Wow.
Yeah, and he still is practicing actually in France. And he has a monastery there. But I have a lot of his books. Actually, by chance, I have them all here just because I was writing this blog. I have his anger book and The Art of Communicating, Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm. So quite a few. Yeah. The more we focus on this area, how to be grateful, mindful, and joyful, the better we will feel.
Yeah, wonderful. And what about your book? You want to say a few
My
words?
book, oh yes. My book is called Enriching Relationships. It's on Amazon in the UK and the US. It's a wonderful also reminder of how to enrich relationships and be grateful. Yeah, so
yeah, I think that's really great that you wrote something on relationships, because I truly believe that relationships are our most challenging part of our lives, but also the part that makes us happiest and brings us the most gratitude, actually. And yeah.
wonderful. Well, the relationships, especially when we have kids, as I wrote, and actually it was Daniel Gilbert, Daniel. Yes, Stumbling Upon Happiness in the book he wrote. He researched why people call children the joy of their life, and this is exactly the part which makes their relationship miserable in many cases. So it is the most grateful we feel for when we have kids and when we find our soulmate. But this is the toughest and the most difficult relationship to be grateful for.
Yeah, that's really good that you touched upon this, because people sometimes think that if they find the right person, or if they have a child, they are going to be happy all the time, and that's going to bring happiness forever. Yeah, it's not exactly that way. And while you still have so many reasons to feel grateful about that, you also need to work on the things that keep you from being grateful and happy in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where can people find you, Darya? Where can people see your work?
Well, I have an active group on Facebook called Psychology of Human Enrichment. So if you just search for the Psychology of Human Enrichment and join the group and join the discussion. Also have a newsletter, blog that I send on Tuesdays, and that can be signed up for on daryahaitoglou.com. I don't know whether you can write that, because a lot of people will be saying, like, how do you spell that name?
It's going to be on the website written also, so it's going to be all right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here we go. So if people want to connect with me, it's from the website, it's from Facebook or Instagram. It's a lot of social media out there that, we can connect with.
All right. Perfect. So be sure to visit Darya on her website. I'm also following her, and she teaches some very interesting things about relationships, and totally go for it. And thank you very much for your time, for being here and sharing these amazing tips with us.
Thank you. Thank you for organizing and giving me the chance. It's fantastic.
Sure,
Well
sure.
done.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have an
Thanks.
amazing evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.